My name is Sarah, and I'm not a good Christian. Or at least, that's what many priests would think. And if I weren't a Christian, I would be a bad Mormon, or I'd be a bad Muslim, or a bad Buddhist, or a bad Hindu. So if you aren't a Christian, just bear with me. It wasn't always like this. This is the church I went to nearly every week for 9 years. This, of course, was a demand from my father, one for which I'm now very thankful. As much as I dreaded the dull ceremony that came at 6:30 p.m. once a week, I always awaited the day that I would be able to understand what in the world the priest was talking about for an hour. So, when my 9th birthday rolled around, I got to go to catechism. If you were to walk into my catechism class on any Wednesday of the year, you'd probably see this. A large table with students sat around it, only half of them in their seats, some arguing, some probably wrestling around the table, and a teacher lazily trudging back to her desk. There would only be 2 or 3 people that stood out. These were the students that just wanted to go home, and I was one of them. So during this period of my life, my indecision towards my own beliefs continued to develop, and that's when I made a deal with my father. We decided that I would only have to go to church on Christmas, Easter, and a few other times throughout the year. Soon enough, my communion had come and passed. I'm sure that my father was very disappointed when I stopped coming to church every Sunday, or any Sunday at all. The Christian church had lost a member of its family. Then came the following 4 years of my life. While it may have seemed like I'd cut off all connections to God, in reality, I had developed a stronger, more personal connection than ever. But something still holds me back from calling myself a good Christian. I want everybody in the audience to ask themselves right now, what makes a good Christian? What makes a good Mormon? What makes a good Buddhist? What makes a good Hindu? Or what makes a good Muslim? Is it following all rules of religious text and undoubted belief? Because if so, how many of us can claim that we truly are faithful people? I would like to take a look at this passage. But when you make your prayer, go into your private room, and shutting the door, say a prayer to your Father in secret. And your Father, who sees in secret, will give you your reward. This is a passage from the Gospel of Matthew found in the New Testament. Prior to this, Matthew states that one should not go to a temple to pray, much like those that pray to be seen by others. Rather, one should go into an inner room or a private space where they can say a prayer. Matthew also states that one should not have to recite a prayer out loud because God already knows what any individual is truly in need of. This passage, along with many others, contradicts the behavior and lifestyle that many Christians have adopted today. And this is precisely where my indecision towards Mass stems. I find that Mass has been adopted through years of misinterpretations of the Bible and appointing relevance to only certain passages. So how do I know that what I'm doing is right? I don't. I need to use my own experiences and the set of moral rules presented to me by the Christian faith as a basis to build off my own distinction of what is right and what is wrong. But does this mean that I do not truly believe? Well, I'd like to take a look at another verse. I do believe, help my unbelief. This is the 24th verse of the 9th chapter of the Gospel of Mark. In this chapter, a desperate father seeks out Jesus of Nazareth to heal his possessed son. When he finds him, Jesus tells him that all is possible for those that believe. The father replies by simply crying out, I do believe, help my unbelief. So what can we take away from this seemingly contradictory phrase? Well, the phrase in itself is not as contradictory as it may seem. In reality, it's accentuating a very relevant part of my own discovery of my relationship with God. I often find myself wondering if I really am a faithful person. It can be difficult to resist the temptation of unbelief that would allow me to create my own set of moral rules rather than following those of the Christian faith. I push myself with these thoughts until I can truly cry out, I do believe, help me in my moments of uncertainty. I've found through my years going to Mass that in the presence of a pastor or while I'm partaking in a religious ceremony, I feel a severe absence of any connection with God. The only time in which I'm capable of feeling a connection is when I'm able to go into a quiet place and pray and recite a prayer in silence without the observations of others nearby. So this is the point in which I will ask the audience once again, what makes a good Christian? Is it undoubted belief? What makes a good Mormon? What makes a good Buddhist? What makes a good Hindu? What makes a good Muslim? Perhaps your answer has changed in the slightest. So this is the big point that this entire talk has been leading up to. The point that the entire audience should be on the edge of their seats to hear. And I'm very disappointed to say that I don't know. I wish I could tell you that we've reached the end of my journey where I've come to some great realization about myself and my dedication to my faith, but that's not the case. In reality, anybody can be good at worshiping their faith as long as they are loyal to what they believe. That is a reflection of their religion. My ideas are not solidified, and I have a lot of time to find out what I truly believe. However, for the first time, I can say that I'm sure of one thing. My name is Sarah, and I will be a good Christian. Thank you.